What's going on, guys? Drizzmeister here. Thank you so much for tuning and welcome back to another Ride 4 video. Alright, so lately I've been getting messages from you guys to make a video about how I launched my bike in the beginning of the race. To be honest, I don't really have any technique or any preparation I do when I want to launch my bike from the beginning of the race. But lately I've been getting messages from you guys, so I decided to do some testing and see what bikes launches better than the other and from which RPM. There's difference between 3-cylinder bike and also 4-cylinder bike. It's obvious that 4-cylinder bikes launches better than the 3-cylinder bikes. 3-cylinder bikes doesn't have that long to accelerate from low down in the RPM because they have an inherited unbalance, and they are balanced by a balance shaft in the engine. So when you try to launch them, they struggle to rev up, but they have a mid punch. But at the high RPM, they flattened out a little bit compared to 4-cylinder bikes. 4-cylinder are just a bit more free revving, and 3-cylinder bike tends to have a bit of a struggle from down low when you try to launch them. Alright, so in order to avoid this video getting too long, so I'm just going to dive into the video and show you some clips between two bikes I just tested and show you from what RPM I'm launching this bike and from which RPM I'm getting better launch from the starting line. I did a test with the bike that everybody likes to use in the game, the Kawasaki ZS6RM. As you can see, I launched the bike from around 8,000 RPM and it went very smoothly. And it might be maybe the AI just decided not to launch very well or something like that, but you can see that the bike came off its place very quickly. So I went back and wanted to launch it again from another RPM. This time I launched it from I think around 11,000 RPM, and again the bike launch is very good, no issue, no hassle. It was a bit better than from launching from 8,000 RPM, and once more it might be that the AI just doesn't launch very well. The third test, I was launching the bike again, and this time with the same setup, start setup from 9,000, between 9 and 10,000 RPM, and as you can see for yourself, the bike launches well, but I think from 10 to 11,000 RPM is the best to launch this Kawasaki. Alright, so did another test again from I think around 13,000 RPM. I just wanted to see the difference between 11 and 13,000 RPM. As you can see, the bike came off its place very well, launches very good. I think this Kawasaki in the O has a lot of power to launch from almost any RPM depending on your opponent. And my final test with the Kawasaki, I wanted to launch it from the full RPM just like everybody always do, like I always do. And you see as well, he doesn't really have a lot of hiccup, and he just launches very well. And yeah, maybe the AI is just being ridiculous and not launching very good as they should be. Keep in mind, this is just the offline gameplay, so when you're playing online against other people, you have to factor in that some people may have a faster internet than yours, so yeah, they will get a better reaction and better launch perhaps. Alright, so I opted over to try out Daytona 6755 if I'm not mistaken. This bike is a 3-cylinder bike, just to show you what I'm talking about. So with this first launch, I launched at around 11,000 RPM, and as you can see, the bike bogged down heavily and it couldn't keep up with the other bikes, and very sluggish. So I opted over again, launched the bike from another set of RPM, and this time I was launching from about 12,000 to 13,000 RPM, and initial launch was alright, but then it bogged down a little bit, struggled for traction, and yeah, it'd be better than the previous one. So this is a test, and I'm gonna be launching from full 15,000 RPM. As you can see, when the light went green, the bike bogged down badly and I was left for dead. I couldn't really keep up with the other bike, so launching from the RPM is not a good idea. So the last test for a 3-cylinder bike, I wanted to launch from around 8,000 RPM and see maybe that might be the key and the way to launch this bike. And as you can see, the launch was much better. I was able to keep up with the faster bike, even though this bike is much down on power compared to like the Kawasaki and all the Hondas and the Yamaha and Suzuki in the game. So yeah. I think at the end of the day, you need to experiment with the bike you use in the game. You know, experiment from different set of RPM and see what works for you better. And you know, keep in mind, offline gameplay is different to online gameplay, so there might be a different there due to internet connection and all that kind of stuff. All right, to finalize and conclude this video, at the start of a race, when you're about to launch your bike, you need to set your traction control back to like 0 or maximum 1, and set your anti-wheelie back to like 1 or 2 setting, so to give you that initial launch power. And when you get going, you can, you know, bump the setting back to your desired setting in order to maintain maybe traction. Set the traction control back to 2nd or 3, and also the anti-wheelie back to your desired setting as well. Try to keep in mind as well, launching, having a good launch, it depends on the gear ratio you're using. The shorter final ratio give you a better acceleration, and long final ratio give you a better top speed. So that also has an influence on how you get your bike launched from the starting line. And moreover, the tire using, I was using medium setup, and also my gearbox setting was just default setup. So, and 600cc bikes is also different to 1000cc bikes, so you have to, you know, experiment with it, like I said earlier, and adapt your riding style to it. Alright guys, this will wrap it up for this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing, and if you like this video, subscribe to my channel, you know, hit that like button and also comment. Your help, your support, I will appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you later, man. Stay safe out there. Peace.